This morning you spent 11 minutes explaining your own project to your AI agent again. The same 11 minutes you spent yesterday. The agent does not remember. Your folder structure does not help. Your chat history is just a wall of text. You are not running an AI workflow. You are running a daily rebriefing of an expensive amnesiac. The files exist. They contain years of work, contracts, PDFs, notes, recordings, images, invoices, transcripts, screenshots, and that one folder called Final, New Real, Final, which is not a file name so much as a cry for governance. The knowledge is in there, but existence is not access. A folder full of documents is not the same thing as a system that can help you find, connect, and use what those documents know. Your files are not a knowledge base yet. That is the gap this video is about. This is a problem for humans and for AI. A human loses time searching, rereading, opening the wrong document with great confidence, and trying to remember which folder name made sense during a Tuesday when optimism was briefly available. An AI agent loses time because it starts without enough context. It asks for summaries, burns tokens, forgets project history, and sometimes behaves like a very expensive goldfish wearing a productivity badge. Intelligence is useful. Memory is also useful. Control is essential. The old idea was simple: put files in folders. That worked better when the files were few, the formats were simple, and nobody expected a local system to understand audio, video, images, PDFs, Office documents, OCR output, metadata, and semantic relationships. It also worked better when the human who created the folder was still the same human trying to find the answer. In real organizations, people leave, projects move, teams change, and the one person who understood the naming convention is eventually promoted into a meeting-heavy afterlife. So the missing layer is not another folder. It is a local first knowledge layer, something that can watch chosen folders, index what changes, understand supported document and media types, preserve ownership, and make content searchable for humans, and, when appropriate, for AI agents. That layer should not require every private document to become someone else's training snack. It should not turn your local archive into a cloud mystery tour. And it should not ask you to surrender the keys just because search became fashionable. Indexing becomes powerful when it bridges the gap between what a file is called and what it actually contains. A camera file name does not say orange sunset, fishing boat, Italian beach. A scanned invoice does not always announce which project decision it affects. A meeting transcript may mention a customer, a risk, and a follow-up action without any of those words appearing in the folder name. Good search should not punish people for being human. It should compensate for the fact that real work creates real mess. And real mess is rarely alphabetical. If you are still here, the next half is the part most AI workflow videos skip. There is a one-page project memory audit at the end of this video. 5 fields about where your memory actually lives today, 7 yes or no questions about your architecture, and 1 threshold that tells you whether you have a working system or just a folder with a lot of files. Watch any folder. Search what you choose to index. Local first by default. Those 3 lines are not a slogan. They are a constraint set. Watch means new files get noticed without you remembering to upload them. Search means meaning, not just file names. Local first means the index lives on your machine, and cloud providers, if any, are an explicit decision, not a hidden default. Local first does not mean anti-cloud. It means cloud is a decision, not the default hiding place. A team might use a local model, a different local runtime, or a cloud provider where the data and the use case allow it. The important part is that the operator understands and chooses the path. Sensitive material deserves boundaries. Some areas may be local only. A business should understand which provider is used, which model is used, what data leaves the machine, and what remains under operator control. Basic search finds raw strings. Useful knowledge systems find meaning, context, and how things relate. If a document mentions a customer, a project, a date, a risk, and a related decision, those connections matter. If an image contains a sunset at a beach, the file name should not be the only way to find it. If OCR drops a scanned letter into a watched folder, the system should not need a ceremony. It should notice, process, classify, and make the content available under the rules you defined. For AI agents, the difference is even sharper. Without a knowledge layer, every session begins with context loading. What project is this? What happened last time? Which files matter? Which decisions are final? Which credentials are sensitive? That is how you spend the first part of a work session, paying a token tax to explain where the agent is standing. A persistent knowledge layer reduces that tax. It lets the agent retrieve what it needs instead of politely forgetting the organization every morning. But this only works if security is not an afterthought. A knowledge system that indexes everything without boundaries is not smart, it is enthusiastic, which is not the same thing. Sensitive data needs isolation, credentials need special treatment, access should be scoped, audit trails matter. The audit at the end covers this row too. It asks whether you can revoke an agent's access in less than 30 seconds and whether you actually know what the agent retrieved last week. This is why local first knowledge belongs under the larger channel idea. The channel is not just about faceless YouTube. It is about controlled workflows, your files, your keys, your decisions, your memory. If research data belongs to the creator, if API keys belong to the user, if title decisions belong to the channel owner, then project knowledge should not be treated as disposable prompt stuffing either. For the viewer, the principle is practical. Do not measure an AI workflow only by how smart the model sounds during one session. Measure how much context you have to repeat. Measure how often the assistant forgets constraints. Measure whether important decisions are easy to find. Measure whether sensitive data is isolated. Measure whether you can export and inspect what the system knows. These measurements are less glamorous than a flashy demo, but they tell you whether the workflow can survive contact with a Monday. So, the project memory audit. 5 fields. Where your project memory actually lives today. 7 yes or no checks. Retrieval, isolation, freshness, audit, revocation, scope, format coverage. 1 threshold that gives you a verdict, working system, patchable, or just a folder. Faceless, YouTube automation, hq.com/resources. Email in, audit out, completely free. No tracking circus, no upsell, no newsletter you did not ask for. Next, voice workflows. Why talking to your computer should not feel like a science project. Until then, your files are not a knowledge base yet, but the gap is closable.